All right, welcome back. All right, now let's look at the determinants of price elasticity. All right, the first thing that determines price elasticity is the availability of substitutes, goods that can be used in substitute of one good. If there are a lot of substitutes available to the consumer, the price elasticity of the good is likely to be relatively elastic. So when we talk about relatively elastic, we mean that the price of the good there will be less than one. And when we talk about less than one for relatively elastic, it means that the good is a good that has a lot of substitutes. Relatively elastic, a small change in price will result in a large change in quantity demanded. All right, right. This is due to the fact that if the price of goods increases, then consumers can easily switch to another good that is now cheaper and that performs a similar functions. For example, if the price of Coca-Cola increased, then the percentage decrease in quantity demand is likely to be greater than the percentage increase in price. This is because Coca-Cola customers can easily switch to the consumption to Pepsi as it is a similar product. So if the price of Coca-Cola increases, then the percentage decrease in quantity demanded is likely to be greater than the percentage increase in price because of the fact that people we can switch from Coca-Cola to Pepsi or Mountain Dew or other substitutes as well. All right, the other thing is the nature of the commodity, whether or not it's expensive or inexpensive. The greater percentage of income that goods take up, the more elastic demand for the goods is likely to be. For example, a 10% increase in the price of bread is unlikely to have a big effect on demand. This is due to the fact that bread is a cheap product and therefore, although the price may have increased, the percentage of a percent income that it takes up is very small. While in PNG, a classic example will be the 10 toya flour balls. If the 10 toya flour balls increase to 20 toya, you will see that basically it won't have a huge effect on demand. This is because it's a very cheap product. However, if the price of a car increased by 10%, then it's likely to have a much more greater impact on demand. This is the fact that cars are very expensive. All right, inexpensive items like price determined by the nature of the commodity. So inexpensive items like flour balls, 10 flour balls, if it's increased, you would know that the price may have increased, but the percentage of the percent income that it takes up is still very small. So from 10 to 20 it's just 10 difference there. But if the price of a car increased by 10%, for instance, if it was 100,000, and what's 10% of 100,000? It's 10,000. So if the car is increased from 100,000 to 110,000, 10,000 is a very, it's also, although 10%, it's basically a huge increase in to consumers. So 10 to increase, it's almost 100% increase in flour balls from 10 to 20. That's 100% increase. The price is increased 100%. If a car's price would be increasing 100% from 100,000 to 200,000, there is a very, very huge steep increase. So as a result, the determinants of price is the nature of the commodity. Or luxury goods or necessity. Luxury goods are not essential in achieving basic standard of living for individuals. For example, designer clothes would not be considered essential. As a result, the price elasticity or demand of these products would be relatively elastic. Therefore, if the price of the goods increases, then the consumer may change their consumption habits to exclude this good as they can do without it. See? So like luxury goods and stuff like that. See, if the prices go high, for instance, iPhone, if the prices go so high to 10,000 for this iPhone 14 Pro Max or iPhone 14 Plus, in essence, the consumer can just basically say that I'm okay with so spending 10,000 on an iPhone. I can spend 500 on a good quality Samsung A brand A20, and then it still serves the same functions as well. So that's basically the luxury or necessary goods. All right. So in this sort of second lectures, we looked at what are the determinants of price. So price as a relationship with quantity demanded, we call it elasticity, and different goods have different elasticity sort of rankings or criteria. They're perfectly elastic, they're perfectly inelastic, unitary elastic, relatively elastic, and relatively inelastic. All right, in order to determine changes in price, you would note that Goods uh, factors that affect or determine price elasticities are availability of substitutes. If there are substitutes, you will see that it will affect the good elasticity of the good, likely to be relatively elastic if there's a lot of substitutes. All right, and then you come down to the nature of commodity, expensive or inexpensive goods. Inexpensive goods, you will note that the changes in price may not have a big effect on demand, but you have to know that expensive goods, like changes in price, will have a huge, increasing flower bowls from 10 to 20 is a 100% increase. But if you try to increase 100% increase of a car, you would know that people will just leave the car and nobody will touch the car. That's a result. Uh, the nature of the commodity, whether it's expensive or inexpensive, has a huge bearing on price elasticity. The third category we have there is luxury and necessity goods. So if a luxury item, the price increases, the demand can be affected because of the fact that it's not a essential in achieving basic standard. You can still wear low quality Chinese clothing and still perform the same function of dressing you up and covering your body. As a result, for luxury goods, if there's an increase, the consumer may change their consumption habits about that particular good or particular sort of product. All right, that is price elasticity. Now let's all go on to look at the topic of cross price elasticities. We'll cover that in your third set of lectures for this topic.